Have you seen rugs like this on Instagram and TikTok and wonder how they're made? Well, stay tuned because today I'm going to show you how to make a rug. I've been tufting custom rugs for over a year now and I've learned a lot about the process. So today I'm going to be giving you a full tutorial on how to make your own custom rugs. But first, let's check out some of the rugs that I've already made. I've made all these rugs over the last year and I feel like I've improved a lot with each rug I've made. I definitely didn't start out making perfect rugs and I'm still not perfect, but I'm really happy with some of the results I've gotten. So with that being said, let's talk about some of the materials you're going to need to get started. The first thing you're going to need is a tufting gun, which is what I have here. This is what actually cuts and sews the yarn into the fabric. The next thing you're going to need is tufting cloth and backing fabric. I found this really cool bundle on Amazon that has good tufting cloth and some anti-slip felt for backing fabric, and it also comes with a glue spreader and brush. If you don't have any anti-slip felt or you can't find any, just some regular felt you buy at Walmart will get the job done. I use this a lot of the times, but I think the anti-slip felt just helps the rugs be a little more premium, so that's what I've been using lately. So here you can see the difference between the anti-slip felt and the normal felt. But to make the felt look a little bit nicer, sometimes I'll put this 1-inch cotton webbing around the edges for an extra clean finish. Overall though, I just like using this anti-slip felt. For the yarn, I usually like to buy the Red Heart brand from Walmart because it's cheap and available. It is acrylic yarn and you can get nicer results if you buy something like wool. However, I'm always happy with the results I get from this stuff. Then you're going to need to build a frame, which is what I've been standing in front of this whole time. This is just something that you could stretch your fabric over to get tension on your cloth in order to actually tuck the rug. I built this one out of 2x4s that I got from Home Depot. There's a bunch of videos online on how you can build one of these. The main thing you want to make sure is that it's sturdy and doesn't wobble when you're tufting. So here is the first tufting frame that I made, and it was actually super wobbly. As you can see, it's just not sturdy at all, and it wasn't big enough for what I needed, so that's why I made the new and improved one in the other rug. I'm also going to be using a bunch of smaller tools throughout the process that I have like in this drawer here, and I also have a couple other tools underneath the table here that I'll get into later, but right now, let's just get into making the rug. Before we get started though, I just want to shout out a few of my inspirations when it comes to rug making. So be sure to check out all these amazing Instagram profiles and see what's possible when it comes to making rugs. So here's a design I'm going to be making today. We got the Blue Spirit rug and the Appa rug from Avatar. This is one of my favorite childhood TV shows, so I think these rugs are going to turn out pretty sick. So let's get right into it. The first thing you want to do is stretch your tufting cloth over the frame. You want to make sure every edge is pulled tight or you'll run into issues later. It should look like this when it's fully stretched. To get the design on the fabric, I use this cheap projector that I found on Amazon. It's not the greatest, but it gets the job done. When you project your design, you have to make sure you mirror your image or your rug is going to turn out backwards. It's very important not to forget. After I get the design positioned where I want it, I measure it to make sure it's square and then I trace it onto the fabric. Some people like to color code their lines when tracing, but personally I just use one color and I reference my design as I'm tufting. This can be more time consuming than it looks, but it's important to take your time and make clean and accurate lines. It should look something like this when you're finished tracing. Now that the design is fully sketched out, I can grab all my yarn. I keep all my yarn somewhat organized in this cabinet. When I get new yarn, I like to put it through this yarn winder to make it easier to tuft with and remove any tangles. This can get pretty tedious when you have a lot of colors, but it's a necessary step in my opinion. Alright, so here's my big pile of yarn. Hopefully this is going to be enough to finish these two rugs. I'm sure it's not. I'm going to have to run to the store and get more later, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Before I load the gun, I like to make sure it is clean and oiled. This isn't necessary every time you make a rug, but you want to clean it often to make sure it stays working smoothly. Now it's finally time to load up the gun, and for that I use this yarn puller, but you can also just use a paper clip. I put it through these two holes and then I pull the yarn through. Now you're finally ready to start tufting the rug. You want to make sure you have even pressure on the cloth before you pull the trigger, and you want to steer the gun in the desired direction. There should be no need to force anything. This step can take a lot of practice and you might not get it on your first couple lines or even your first couple rugs, but if you stick with it, you will learn how to be consistent. This gun has a speed adjustment knob on the bottom and I usually have this most of the way up. However, if you're just beginning, I would recommend learning on the slower setting until you're comfortable. Also, like I mentioned earlier, making sure your tufting cloth is tight is crucial to getting consistently clean lines. When you're filling in colors like this, you want to make sure your lines are close enough so you don't end up having any gaps. This is especially important on the edges because they will be folded over. I like to make sure I put extra yarn on all the edges to make sure they're covered. Now I just gotta finish these up and then I'll show you how to glue and apply the backing, so sit back and enjoy this short tufting montage. Okay, now that the rugs are all done, it's time to glue the backs. I've been using Ultra Bond 420, but I believe any carpet adhesive will work. I buy this at Lowe's or Home Depot and it works good for me. I just apply an even layer to the back and then I let them dry overnight. Now that the glue is dry, I can cut the rugs off the frame. I like to leave about an inch of cloth around the edges to make it easier when finishing the back of the rug. Next, I'll cut the cloth around the edges into sections that I can easily fold over. Then you want to take each section and fold them over tightly all the way around the edge. You don't want to pull them too tight and stretch the fabric, just tight enough. After all the edges are folded over, I grab my final backing felt. I cut it roughly to size and lay it over the back of the rug. Then I take this spray adhesive and cover the back and apply the felt. I usually do this in 2 sections to make it easier. Next, I secure the edges of the felt to the rug using hot glue. It is really important on this step to get the glue as far on the edge as possible. This will give you a cleaner looking edge when you cut the excess felt off. After the hot glue is dried, I go around the perimeter and cut off all the felt that is hanging off, making sure to get as close to the dried glue as possible. Once I'm done applying the back, I like to go around and clean up the edge of the rug with scissors. I like to use these sheep shears to flatten the top of the rug and give everything a uniform thickness. Just a few light passes over the top will clean everything up. There's no need to apply a lot of pressure. After I'm done with the shears, I use these electric scissors to clean up all of my lines and straight edges. This can be done with normal scissors, but the electric ones can really save a lot of time. This step can really take a lot of work, but it will also make a huge difference in how clean your rug is going to look. After I'm happy with all the details, I finally vacuum off the top and it's time to check out the final results. And just like that, these rugs are completed and I'm super happy with how they turned out. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed watching and I hope you learned something. If you did, leave a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments. Because that's all I have for you guys today. I'll see you next time. Peace out.